Hi, my name is Mimi Dizes, and I am a student in Genetics 434 with Dr. Jones. And today I'm just going to briefly go over my developmental disorders project website and talk about some things that I learned and some things that I wish that I had more time to learn. So I'm starting out here on my introduction page. Just talking about introducing to Tay-Sachs disease, which is the disorder that I chose to learn about for this project. Just talking about how it is neurodegenerative and the enzyme that is involved is beta hexosaminidase. And that's also called hexa. And I talk about that throughout the whole website, talking about the general background, how it is inherited, and what it is caused by, which is excessive accumulation of lipids. And then talking about who is affected and how common the disease is. So it's actually not that common, which was something really cool that I learned. I had never really heard about Tay-Sachs before, maybe in a genetics class prior, but not from any personal experience. So that was pretty cool to learn that although it is a pretty bad, pretty bad disease, it's actually not as common as some other diseases that I know my peers have studied. And also it is even rarer in the late onset versions and juvenile, whereas infantile is the most common. And then transmission of the disease is autosomal recessive, which was pretty cool to learn about too, because it is a mutation on chromosome 15. So your parents have to kind of give that to you. Then the symptoms and the signs, I liked kind of learning how to like differentiate between symptoms and signs. I thought that it was really interesting that one of the symptoms was cherry red, which looks like this, which I thought was really cool as an indicator. I've never heard or seen anything quite like that. I think that weakness being one of the main like signs and symptoms is pretty interesting too. I think that it definitely makes it harder to diagnose this disorder. And then going into the diagnosis process, that a geneticist or a neurologist would probably be most competent to help you figure out what's going on. Talking about the tissues affected, again, hexa, talking about how it can't break down the gangliosides, which are the lipids, and it results in accumulation, which makes the nerve cells deteriorate and also they're severely damaged and can't work properly. I chose to kind of focus on the cerebral cortex and neurons, as the most of the signs and symptoms that present are due to issues and loss of like normal function of the cerebral cortex. Then I compare the normal development of neurons in the disease pathway, the genes and signaling, talking about how it hexa can lead to degradation of neuron cells, like we talked about before, just kind of stuff like that. I really liked the section about signaling and the different types of Tay-Sachs. Like I said, in the infantile version of the disease, you find different things than you would in the later or late onset or juvenile. Currently, there's no treatment to cure Tay-Sachs, but I did think it was really interesting that medication and especially physical therapy could be used to help keep your joints as flexible as possible as you go, as a person who is affected with this disease goes through losing some of their motor function and stuff like that. I really liked learning about the research as well. So I found like a study conducted on mice injecting like viral DNA, which was really cool. I also found like enzyme replacement therapy and gene therapy and stem cell transplantation, which is actually something that interests me a lot more. And if I had more time, I definitely would have liked to go into more research about stem cells and how that's being utilized, along kind of with if there's any in vitro studies or anything that the experimenters allow like an organism they're testing on to develop fully through the experiment. So these are my references. I had a really great time in this class and also learning more about Tay-Sachs. So thank you so much.